Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Hamilton County High School Football Coaches Show, presented by Logan Street Signs and Banners, celebrating 26 years in business. We'd also like to thank our other great sponsors, Greek's Pizza. Dine in, take it out, call ahead, 317-773-4444. Noblesville Trophies, Community Health, and the Hamilton County Reporter at www.readthereporter.com. We're joined by Fishers Tigers head coach Rick Wimmer. And Rick, I'm glad to see that you brought some dry weather with you today. And in that, as we were talking before the game, I know you've had several experiences, but I never remember seeing a Friday night where the rain just kept coming and coming and coming and just never quit.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'll say about that game Friday night, the fans didn't quit, and the kids didn't quit.
Oh, our student body was tremendous, both schools really, and had great turnout, and just testament to what this rivalry is, and a lot of people showed up, stayed.
I had a lot of people commenting to me all week last week about the game, and then today several people, and at church yesterday several people commenting about it. Turned out, obviously, to be a low-scoring game. One of the quickest games I've seen in a long time, played in about 2 hours and 5 minutes. Lots of ground action, very little in the air. But Tigers took off early, a gift from the Royals with a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, we got the safety there early, and then I think they scored, but we were able to come back and get a score to go ahead, and missed an opportunity later in the game to put it away as we fumbled going into the end zone for the go ahead score that was it hurt, but I thought we did a lot of things well. The thing we're not doing well is taking care of the football, and that's cost us the last 2 weeks. We're running the ball very well. We're playing really good defense. I still feel good about this football team. We've got to do a better job in the turnover department, and we've got to do a little better job in the red zone scoring area. That's also been a problem the last 2 weeks. Kicking field goals last week against Noblesville instead of scoring any touchdowns, and then this week, actually missed 2 opportunities down deep to score, but one of them we got the ball back immediately afterwards and ended up scoring. The one at the end, in the last few minutes of the game really hurt. We had a good drive going and really felt like we ran the ball very well all night long, despite not really being able to throw it very well. Neither team threw it very well. But just very proud of our kids' effort. But we've got to execute a little bit better and take care of better care of football.
I felt like the second quarter, you guys really dominated that quarter.
Well, they didn't have the ball much. We had some drives. We had a drive there in the second quarter that took 8 or 9 minutes, and ended with a touchdown, and we moved the ball pretty well most of the game. But we just got to I think we lost 3 fumbles, which are critical. But I think we had 8 fumbles on the night.
There was a total of 8.
Really, when you have those kind of things, we got the ball back, but we had 3 fumbled snaps and that just take you out of a play, and put you in a difficult situation. A couple of those plays we felt like we had good opportunities on, but we'll keep working, and we've got a big challenge this week. But I thought our kids came out Saturday, and we watched film and we talked, and I think kids have a good understanding that we're a pretty good football team that hasn't found a way to win. We've got to do that.
Well, it's good to see H.L. Lewis get back in the game, even though his action was somewhat limited. Every time I've seen that young man run, I'm almost in awe.
Yeah, well, he's certainly got speed, but he's still not 100%, and I don't know where he'll be this week. But I thought Dylan Scally did a tremendous job coming in there and run the football for us, and I feel very good about it. We always get a great effort from him, and We've got another back that we didn't use, probably should, and that's Matt Noble, and he'll probably get an opportunity this week. But I was very pleased with the job Dylan did.
Yeah, Dylan, according to what I had, he had 26 carries for 103 yards,
Yep.
and on a wet, slippery field,
Yep.
100 yards. I mean, that's really quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, good game. Our offensive line, I thought, was a difference maker for us. I've been pleased with the progress of our offensive line the last 3 weeks, and so we hopefully we continue that upswing.
Yeah, and of course the passing game, basically because of the weather, was almost non-existent. But both teams had a couple really nice key receptions, and for you guys, I believe one of them, by Colin Stotts, was that was a big play.
Yeah, and Josh Jackson had a tremendous play on a screen pass, a tunnel screen pass, and turned it into about a 25, 30-yard gain, and ran through some tackles, and we weren't. We're struggling a little bit throwing the football, but I thought Marcus handled the situation a lot better than the first week, and the last week we had a number of turnovers from interceptions. This week we didn't. Of course, we didn't throw it a lot, but I thought he was a lot smarter with the football, took care of it, and really considering the conditions, I thought as far as throwing the ball, I thought he performed pretty well. We've got to reduce the number of fumbles, like I said. Some of those were just fumbled snaps that take you out of the play.
Of course, all week long we kept hearing from the weatherman, Friday night's going to be a quagmire. It's just going to rain and rain and rain and rain. How does the weather affect how you guys prepare? How do you prepare for that?
Well, it's good to practice out in it once in a while, and we have done that a few times. You you kind of pick and choose your times. We didn't do it Thursday night because you can't get everything done that you want to get done in that kind of weather. But it's good. We have practiced in that a couple times in the preseason because you know you're going to have to play some games like that. I think it's more about the mindset, and you gotta, I think with our team, particularly this year, with this year's team, we looked at the rain as being an advantage for us. I'm sure, a lot of people saw it that way, but I thought we handled it pretty well, but like I said, you gotta reduce the fumbles. I'm not going to blame the rain on all those things. I mean, I think sometimes you just got to take better care of it.
It does. It definitely makes it difficult, and it was a cool night, and we hadn't really had much cool weather or anything, so it was something kind of foreign from what the what you guys have been used to playing in since you started practice month and a half ago here now. Friday night, it doesn't get any easier. You've got the Bulldogs coming in from Brownsburg to meet you over there at Reynolds Tiger Stadium.
They're playing very well, and they're 4-0. They've beaten three teams that were ranked at the time they played them. Blooming South was ranked early in the year, and they beat them in their opener and beat Cathedral. And, of course, last week beat Avon, who was ranked number 2. And so now Brownsburg has a number 2 ranking in our coaches' poll. I think they're very deserving of it. I vote on that poll, and that's exactly where I voted them. Sorry about that. ESPN's calling, I guess. But they are they've got a lot of offensive weapons and a defense that's leading our conference in points allowed. So they aren't. Everybody knows about Bryce Kurtz and excellent wide receiver going to Northwestern, but they've got a tremendous running back in Donnie Marcus and a good young quarterback in Ben Easters, and their defense is, I think, playing very, very well. So it'll be a tough team to beat, tough challenge, but like I said, I thought I know our kids will be ready to go, and I think we'll be in the right frame of mind, and we're going to go out there and just try to make progress every week.
I always tell people you never count the Tigers out. if there's a team that'll find a way to win, it's the Fishers Tigers. What's the word on Mr. Vore?
Well, he's progressing. He's walking around without crutches now, and
good,
and still limping a little bit, but he's definitely making some progress. So
good.
Good to see that, and but we don't, it's too early to estimate when he might return if he does. So, but we're hoping for the best, and I know he is too, and he started some rehab work, and so we're hopeful.
Coach Rick Wimmer, Fishers Tigers head coach, thank you for joining us tonight, Coach. We appreciate you being here. We'll be back with more in just a few moments on the Hamilton County High School Football Coaches Show.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for Logan Street signs and banners.
You found us.
But this ain't Logan Street. This is South 10th.
We moved 22 years ago.
Well, how come you didn't change the name?
That would have just confused people.
Well, actually, South 10th is Allisonville, if you're from Fishers.
Before that, it was 37A, and before that, it was State Road 37.
So you're telling me that Logan Street signs and banners isn't on Logan Street anymore? It's actually on South 10th. That's Allisonville in Fishers. And before that, it was 37A and 37?
So you got that straight?
Logan Street signs and banners conveniently not located on Logan Street, but rather South 10th Street in Noblesville.
Exactly.
When medical care is needed, where will you turn? With Community's Connect to Care program, one call or click finds you the closest open appointment. Request a time yourself, or let us do it. From a primary care doctor or virtual visit to a med check or community clinic at Walgreens. Just call or click. You can go right to our website or to me. Connect to Care from Community.
Superheroes come in all shapes and sizes. They don't always meet in an underground fortress. Sometimes they meet in places that appear to be very ordinary to most people. But inside, there are heroes in training. Some are smart, strong, or brave. Maybe they can build cities, or heal people when they get hurt. But even superheroes need some help sometimes. With your support, we can change the world. Together, we are a force that can't be defeated. Support the club. Save the world. Support your local superheroes and donate now to the Boys and Girls Club of Noblesville at bgcni.org.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I'd like to order a hamburger, fries, salt, maybe a large vanilla shake.
This is a trophy shop, can't you tell?
You got carry out?
Everything that you need, we have here at the shop. Very unique. You order today, carry out tonight. That's our version of carry out.
All right, I'll take one of everything.
Well, that may take a little longer. We'll have it for you tomorrow night.
I'll be back tomorrow to pick it up.
We'll be waiting for you.
Well, welcome back. I'm Perry Williams. As you see, Brad stepped out for a minute. He had to have a break, And with me today, I got assistant defensive coordinator, coach for the Noblesville Middlers, Adam Metzler. Welcome, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, appreciate you coming, Metz, on last minute here. Well, Coach, big win. 10-2 offensive battle, right?
Yeah, if you look at it that way, yeah. It was a great win for us, for sure. Very defensive game, and grinded it out and found a way to got it done.
Absolutely, Coach. Let's talk a little bit about the game. And it basically had no idea that early in the game, but Eddie Zenick getting a 75-yard touchdown run. Let's take us through that a little bit, because that was a great play.
Yeah, second play of the game. It was like a rugby scrum. he just kind of squirted out of there. He ended up doing a spin move inside and just kind of got out, and all of a sudden you see him running where no one else is, and they didn't know he even had the ball because they were all pushing. Everybody kind of came in, the 11 to the ball type deal, and he ended up taking it to the house.
Yeah, that was, and so I guess that was the first quarter there, and that was about all the scoring was done in that first quarter.
Yeah, it was back and forth defensive game, punts, field position, and that really was a big part of the game.
And then in the second quarter, early in that second quarter, between Cleverly and Jack Knight, our punter, somehow that scored it in the end zone, and Westfield got a safety, so that made the score 7-2. So.
Yeah, that particular play, every time you punt the ball, you want it to be an important play for your team because that can go wrong at any time. Plus, they're bringing pressure. I think Jack would catch that one 9 out of 10 times. But the most athletic part about it is the fact that he ran back to it to get it for a safety rather than a touchdown. So that he's our fastest kid in our team, believe it or not. And that speed really was important. I don't think people really know that part of it. But the fact that he was able to run to it and hustle to it and get a safety rather than give up a touchdown was a huge part in the game.
And I think after that, with the safety, and then of course when a safety happens, you have to kick to Westfield. Mm-hmm. So Jack Knight gets off a booming punt. Yeah,
usually when you kick from the 20, you're supposed to be able to get the ball. At least Westfield thought they'd get the ball midfield. Yeah. He kicked it over their kid's head to the point where we actually had helped our field position in that particular moment. He's a great punter, especially when he's not getting rushed. Yeah. And he's able to just fire it off. And I think it was over 60 yards. I wanted to say they got the ball at like the 30-yard line, so that's pretty unheard of when you're kicking the ball.
Yeah, I think it was pretty close to a 60-yard line. But, so – and then, Westfield started moving the ball a little bit, and then that interception by White Blades made a big interception there and kind of turned that momentum shift back to the Millers.
Yeah, I mean they put up 360 some yards of rushing yards the week prior. So I mean we knew offensively they're high powered, and honestly we wanted to stop the run. They were running the ball a little bit, doing some stuff in the passing game, and we're a bend but don't break, and really keep the ball in front of us and play the next play. And they threw the ball up there, thought they had a shot to go deep, and Zach Groover's been a ball hawk for us and got his 4th interception.
Yeah. And then we come back and we kick a field goal and that makes us up 10-2, right?
Yeah, and that going in with any kind of lead is always good. And that was good for us in halftime.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's basically all the scoring because it was back and forth a couple times. Westfield got the ball moving a little bit, and then
you didn't know at the time, but that ended up being the final score. I think the rain was definitely an effect on the game, but really I think both teams wanted to run the football, and punts were a big play, and field position was huge, and we got in range a few times. I think we learned from those situations to go forward, and it kicked a field goal that actually, if it goes in the end zone in high school football, it's a touchback. We got a great kicker. Thought we'd take a chance at it, and that still proved to be good field position for us. So
yeah, because it came out to the 20s. So.
Absolutely. So that part of it, we won the field position game and didn't turn the ball over and took the ball away a few times. So that was huge for us.
And and we talk about this. I know Coach Gilbert talks about it to me all the time, and Coach Roden talks about it all the time. You got to win the turnover battle, and to be quite honest, Grimmel's had some difficult time with interceptions this year. I think he's had 6 coming into the ball game there, 5 or 6, but he didn't turn it over.
Yeah, it was a grind out game. Grant's trying to make plays, but it was a game where we were ahead and we were playing great defense. So let's just run the football, and we got a couple late first downs that really helped us in field position because they pinned us back a little bit. And but yeah, you look at our last 2 games, we took the ball away, almost doubled the other team, that's going to put yourself in positions to win games, and that's where we're at right now. So.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit because most people don't realize this. But Coach Metz has been with this group, this senior group, all 4 years. Okay,
Yeah.
so and some of those players played some as a freshman, and so they know you pretty well, and of course. Coach Roden's expertise is defense. That's what he's proud about his defense and what we do. But you got some kids that are playing very, very well on defense. Not only those seniors, but you got some juniors that are playing. Let's talk a little bit about some of those defensive players because they're we all talk about Dalton and we talk about Dalton Davis and Tuade and them and some of and Eddie, but there's some other kids that are playing.
Yeah, it definitely starts up front with Dalton, and Kenja Jenkins is doing a great job. But the kid that really was a force on Friday was Zach Canole. He is really coming into his own. He's a wrestler. He's a stout kid in there, really strong. We've been able to play him at nose where we started Dalton at the beginning of the year, and now he's playing to that position and just does a good job. He's a grinder, and he's not going to give up his gap, and that really helped us. He is a senior as well. Juniors-wise, we have Aiden Richardson's been playing free safety for us. He's been a sure tackler. He actually made some really key tackles for us and did a great job there. Wyatt Blades is a kid who's also a senior, but he is a kid that just did a great job. Got the 2 picks.
2 picks and a fumble.
And he got a fumble, and he made some really clutch tackles when he needed to make them. And those guys, Jacob Ham inside for us has been good. He's a kid. He has more marks on his helmet than anybody. We got to repaint his helmet every couple weeks because it just keeps getting marked up. And he just is a kid that just does everything he can for the team inside. Cody Leach is a kid that's done a great job. He's the brains of our operation. He gets everybody lined up. We have a mix of some seniors and juniors. Justin Sparks has done a great job as well. He's a wrestler, another wrestler for us, and he's a great open field. It's just a double leg takedown for him, and I think he's been a really great. I think we knew he was going to be a good player, but he's been a great surprise as far as his production. He's also a senior, but a kid that hadn't played much up to this point. So we do have a lot of kids doing some really good things for us defensively, especially.
Well, that's cool. Let's switch a little bit because we got a big game coming up this week against Zionsville. It doesn't get any easier. I mean, when you play in the Hoosier Crossroad Conference, Millers are setting up there 2-0 in the Hoosier Crossroad Conference, right up there with Brownsburg. So pretty good feeling there. But the Zionsville team's got a high-powered offense, so let's talk a little bit about that.
You're only as good as your next game, so we know. Right. Our next opponent coming in is a high-powered offense that just puts up yardage points, whatever you want to call it. They are very impressive, and I look at some of their talent that they were missing a couple of guys from last week, and we're trying to figure out how they're going to fit in and kind of have an idea. But it's you got to slow them down. I think that's the biggest deal. And then offensively, can we stay on the field and run the football and control the clock? And that's really how we want to win games and grind it out. But their offense is high-powered. You look at the Fawcett kid, he's pretty much everywhere. He'll go from running back to slot to he probably punts the ball too, I'm assuming. He does a little bit of everything. Their outside receiver, Holes, I think is his last name.
Yeah.
He's a deep threat. And then they've got a Division I tight end that is a physical force, and their running backs run hard.
Yeah, Baumgartner's a very good running back.
They got
he's got around 400 yards at 6.5.
Yeah, I mean it's
per carry, and they got 2 receivers that have close to 500 yards each.
Yeah,
so.
When you put 1,000 yards of passing in 4 weeks, you're pretty good at that, and we got to find a way to slow them down. It's a big task for our defense, but our kids are up. They like the challenge. So that's the one thing I think this group they're excited to play these guys, and we'll see what we have on Friday night.
Coach, one of the things that I've seen that because I think most people know I go to a lot of Miller practices, and the one thing about it that I've noticed really is good senior leadership, and those seniors are not afraid to get on some of the younger players if they're not hustling or working hard in practice, and that's a good thing for you guys.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, these guys have been through it. A lot of these guys have played for 2 and 3 years, some of them 4 years. Yeah. So I think they're just excited to have some success, and there's been small successes here and there, but to win games and to feel like you dominated an opponent in certain aspects of the game is exciting for those guys. And the biggest thing is you got to get the younger guys to come along, because it's not just your seniors. There's more kids playing, and it's not just for this year in particular. We're really trying to make this work for years to come, and that's really where it starts, is your senior leadership.
Well, Coach Metz, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, because I know with Coach Roden had a conflict tonight that came up late, and so you were chosen to. I think you drew the short straw.
Yeah, well, you know.
Well, I appreciate you stopping by and talking with us, and we'll take a commercial break here, and Brad Silbert will be back, I think, with Tom Dilley next, the Guerin Catholic coach.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for Logan Street signs and banners.
You found us.
But this ain't Logan Street. This is South 10th.
We moved 22 years ago.
Well, how come you didn't change the name?
That would have just confused people.
Well, actually, South 10th is Allisonville, if you're from Fishers.
Before that, it was 37A, and before that, it was State Road 37.
So you're telling me that Logan Street signs and banners isn't on Logan Street anymore? It's actually on South 10th. That's Allisonville in Fishers. And before that, it was 37A and 37?
So you got that straight?
Logan Street signs and banners conveniently not located on Logan Street, but rather South 10th Street in Noblesville.
Exactly.
When medical care is needed, where will you turn? With Community's Connect to Care program, one call or click finds you the closest open appointment. Request a time yourself, or let us do it. From a primary care doctor or virtual visit, to a med check or community clinic at Walgreens. Just call or click. You can go right to our website or to me. Connect to Care from Community.
Superheroes come in all shapes and sizes. They don't always meet in an underground fortress. Sometimes they meet in places that appear to be very ordinary to most people. But inside, there are heroes in training. Some are smart, strong, or brave. Maybe they can build cities, or heal people when they get hurt. But even superheroes need some help sometimes. With your support, we can change the world. Together, we are a force that can't be defeated. Support the club. Save the world. Support your local superheroes and donate now to the Boys and Girls Club of Noblesville at bgcni.org.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I'd like to order a hamburger, fries, salt, maybe a large vanilla shake.
This is a trophy shop, can't you tell?
You got carry out?
Everything that you need, we have here at the shop. Very unique. You order today, carry out tonight. That's our version of carry out.
All right, I'll take one of everything.
Oh, that may take a little longer. We'll have it for you tomorrow night.
I'll be back tomorrow to pick it up.
We'll be waiting for you.
Welcome back to tonight's broadcast of the Hamilton County High School Football Coaches Show, presented by Logan Street Signs and Banners, celebrating 26 years in business. We're joined now by Guerin Catholic Golden Eagles head coach Tom Dilley. Tom, first game of the season with nothing to write home about, but boy, since then, you guys have been going like a house on fire.
You know, and actually I thought our kids played a pretty good game that first game of the year. We just didn't make a few plays at the end, but consistently, I think our kids are improving, and we're about to be tested a lot more with some of our schedule coming up.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Let's talk about that Howe game. First quarter, no scoring, and then the shall we say, almost like the floodgates open, and second and third quarter, it was just total domination by you guys.
Well, floodgates is an appropriate term for that night. It was we were in a lot of standing water, and early on we didn't handle that very well. We lost a fumble, and we fumbled a punt snap and got sacked before we got the kickoff, and so our defense really had to step up in a couple really bad sudden change situations, and they did. And then the rest of the night, to be as fundamental as it is, even our center quarterback exchange, I can't say enough about those kids handling it the rest of the night, because it was that ball was a greased pig most of the night. It was pretty tough conditions.
One of the stats I was looking at as I was preparing for the show over the weekend and today, and I think this is really to your program's credit and also to Howe's credit. In that game, in spite of the super bad conditions, Guerin, you guys lost 2, Howe lost 3, and compared to what I saw in other games, 5 fumbles is, I guess, I'm not trying to make excuses, but 5 fumbles on a night like it was Friday night, that's probably not bad.
No, again,
I mean, you never like it to happen.
We lose one, that's one too many, but at the same time, given those conditions and the fact that we did drop a couple early, the rest of the game, I thought they did a nice job of really taking a little bit extra care and protecting the ball, and the offensive line did a nice job to protect the guys who were protecting the ball too.
The game on Friday night, how was the field over there? But that's a turf field, isn't it?
Where's that? That's coming from? Oh, no, it's grass.
That's right. I'm sorry, I meant to say grass.
Yeah.
How was the field?
It was in pretty good shape when we got there. I thought better than maybe I expected. But as the night wore on, it showed a little bit of wear and tear, and there was a lot of standing water on the field. But that's just the way it is. And sometimes the best grass is to the boundary, and we were able to make some yards there too. So just try to keep pounding it out and hold on to the ball a little bit, and it worked out for us.
Well, you guys obviously did a great job of holding on to the ball. Only 1 pass in the game, which ended up being incomplete, but 65 rushing plays, 325 yards. Not bad, especially on a grass field, which is probably a little bit more slippery and a little bit harder to get some traction on than a turf field.
There was a little bit of slipping around, and like I said, some standing water that the drainage on a lot of the turf fields are going to handle that a little bit better. But it's the conditions we had, and the conditions kind of dictated our play selection, and kids did a nice job of executing.
Dylan Crossan had a good night, 28 carries, 140 yards, 1 touchdown.
Yep, he's played well all year. I think he's been over 100 every game we've had so far. And Charlie Bach came in and played some tailback too, and really kind of was a tone setter. Had some really, really physical runs early on that kind of, made sure our guys understood that's the way the night was going to go, and that's the way we needed to play. And I thought that did a nice job for us.
I think the other people that did a great job for you guys is your defense. If the stats I saw today are correct, you guys held Howe to a net of 14 yards, 30 yards passing, and a -16 running.
Yeah,
that's just amazing.
Yeah, they've played well all year. We've had some other games where stats have been pretty outlandish. Not quite that much, but they did a nice job, and our backups when they went in kept just kind of more of the same and kept flying around, and the staff is doing a nice job of keeping things relatively simple, but getting the kids to fly around and play fundamentally sound.
Another thing I was looking at today was your schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You guys play what I would call a very interesting and very challenging schedule. 1 6A team, which we'll talk about here in a moment, a couple 5A teams, a couple 3A teams, a couple 1A teams, and then you're going to make a trip up to Pontiac to play Pontiac Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite a tough schedule for
you
guys.
No, it's exciting, 1 week at a time, and try to get better for a real test on Friday night. And this week is certainly going to be a tough one.
You're back home, but you're entertaining Columbus North. You're at 3-1. They come in at 4-0, and they are a 6A team.
Sure.
How do you prepare your kids for that?
Same way we prepare every week. We try to treat everybody the same. I mean, we obviously know that they're a little different than some of the other teams we've played, but all we can do is the best we possibly can, and that's what we're preparing to do. They're not only 4-0, they've played 4 real good teams, and they've won in multiple ways. They've won some shootouts, and they've also won some real defensive struggles, and they're good on both sides and all 3 phases of the football, and we're going to have to play our best. But that's the challenge every week, is to play your best, so that's what we're after.
We'll be about halfway through the season now, depending on how you look at it. One game over halfway through, and 3 of your last 4 games will be your conference games. Tell me about your conference. What's that shape up to be like?
Well, the conference opponents of Bishop Chatard and Brebeuf Jesuit and Roncalli, they're year in, year out, traditionally talented and hard-hitting and very well-coached teams, and there's always a little bit of a rivalry element with some of those schools. So, every year that they're going to be a challenge, and they're all 3 playing well this year. I know, some of the records. Roncalli's record isn't really what it is really very indicative of how good a football team and program they are. We know how good they are, but we'll worry about that when we get through this week.
Well, Chatard has come on strong this year. Got their own field now, and that's got to be a kind of a source of pride for them.
Oh, absolutely. We'll get to play on that field, and when that comes around, we'll be excited to do that.
You got a road trip coming up here in a few weeks up to, I guess you could say, north suburban Detroit, up to Pontiac to play Notre Dame up there. How did you guys come up with a game up there?
Well, similar to some other games that we've filled in our schedule, we needed a game that week, and look around for people nearby that would be a good matchup, and just we couldn't find anything, and the opportunity presented itself with that team, and obviously traveling that far away, we hesitated for a little bit, but got to know what they were about a little bit, and thought it'd be a good, exciting trip for our kids, and so we'll be up there in Michigan.
I think that's also a good team building experience. The kids all together, and just kind of solidifies things at times.
You hope so. Again, this whole thing is about developing young men, and obviously giving them some memories that they'll be able to talk about for years. And when you take trips like that, those can fit into that category.
Well, good luck coming up this weekend against Columbus North. This is Coach Tom Dilley of the Guerin Catholic Golden Eagles. Tom, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you being with us. And we thank you for watching us tonight on the Hamilton County Football Coaches Show. We'll be back with more after this.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for Logan Street signs and banners.
You found us.
But this ain't Logan Street. This is South 10th.
We moved 22 years ago.
Well, how come you didn't change the name?
That would have just confused people.
Well, actually, South 10th is Allisonville, if you're from Fishers.
Before that, it was 37A, and before that, it was State Road 37.
So you're telling me that Logan Street signs and banners isn't on Logan Street anymore? It's actually on South 10th. That's Allisonville in Fishers. And before that, it was 37A and 37?
So you got that straight?
Logan Street signs and banners conveniently not located on Logan Street, but rather South 10th Street in Noblesville.
Exactly.
When medical care is needed, where will you turn? With Community's Connect to Care program, one call or click finds you the closest open appointment. Request a time yourself, or let us do it. From a primary care doctor or virtual visit, to a med check or community clinic at Walgreens. Just call or click. You can go right to our website or to me. Connect to Care from Community.
Superheroes come in all shapes and sizes. They don't always meet in an underground fortress. Sometimes they meet in places that appear to be very ordinary to most people. But inside, there are heroes in training. Some are smart, strong, or brave. Maybe they can build cities or heal people when they get hurt. But even superheroes need some help sometimes. With your support, we can change the world. Together, we are a force that can't be defeated. Support the club. Save the world. Support your local superheroes and donate now to the Boys and Girls Club of Noblesville at bgcni.org.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I'd like to order a hamburger, fries, salt, maybe a large vanilla shake.
This is a trophy shop, can't you tell?
You got carry out?
Everything that you need, we have here at the shop. Very unique. You order today, carry out tonight. That's our version of carry out.
All right, I'll take one of everything.
Oh, that may take a little longer. We'll have it for you tomorrow night.
I'll be back tomorrow to pick it up.
We'll be waiting for you.
Welcome back to the Hamilton County High School Football Coaches Show, brought to you by Logan Street Signs and Banners, celebrating 26 years in business. We'd also like to thank our other great sponsors, Greek's Pizza, Noblesville Trophies, Community Health, and the Hamilton County Reporter at www.readthereporter.com. We're joined now by Sheridan head coach Bud Wright. Coach Wright, first week was a little bit rough, but boy, since then, the Blackhawks have been hitting on all 8 cylinders and just mowing everybody down and scoring a lot of points and putting a wall up defensively.
Well, Western Boone was a pretty good football team, a real good football team, and they got a quarterback that's the real deal. And we was a little bit short-headed that night, but I don't know whether that made any difference or not. But I think if we had the couple players that we got the following week, that we at least gave a better game. But that's the way. Yeah, you have to play who you got and go from there. But Western Boone's a pretty good football team, though. And since then, we've had a few talks as a team and got some things straightened out, and we've been rolling pretty good.
Carroll is where you were Friday night up in Florida. Started out in the first quarter with a 6-0 lead, and then just consistently kept ramping up the score on there. Tell us a little bit about that game.
Well, going into the football game, they were 2-1, and we were 2-1. We thought it was going to be a pretty good ball game. I thought we were a better football team, but I thought it would be a close game. But they weren't near as physical as we thought, and our physicality sort of beat them down. We kicked off and stopped them in 3 downs, and then they punted to us, and we ran off like 9.5 minutes on the clock in the first quarter, and scored, and that drive kind of took the starch out of them because I think they found out then they wasn't going to be able to stop us.
I'm not trying to say that the conditions up in the Flora area weren't as bad as they were, but from what I understand, the further north people were, the rain wasn't quite as bad as what we were having down here in Hamilton County.
Well, it rained the whole ball game, but just a steady rain, and I guess it had been raining all day there. But the field had a good base to it, and surprisingly, it held up pretty good. I mean, of course, we were wet and dirty, but the field wasn't tore up at all. It surprised me that the field did have such a good base.
Do you do anything different to prepare your team going into a game like this where you know that the weather conditions are going to be adverse?
Well, yeah, a little bit. I know, like in preseason stuff. We'll go out and work out in the rain and a little bit of mud and stuff there, and get the quarterbacks where we don't dry the ball off, where they have to handle the ball and have to throw the ball. So we do a little bit of that, but we try to tell the kids and try to work with it that you can't run with a narrow base, especially running backs and quarterbacks. Such they got to have a base underneath them on wet ground, and we talked to them about it, sort of try to tell them that they got to keep those legs apart with a good base under them on wet grounds.
Drake Delph had a heck of a game Friday night, didn't he?
Drake did a good job for us. In fact, Drake's been doing a good job for us all year. I think that he's pretty high percentage-wise as far as his passes. He's throwing for, I think, 8 touchdown passes on the year already, which is surprising for one of our teams. And he's throwing for over 400 yards in 4 games, and Drake's really doing a good job for us.
5 2-point conversions in that game. That's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, our kicker had a sore foot. Actually, you wouldn't think so, because it's Jimmy Manis who scored 300 or had scored 3 yards and had over 200 yards rushing, but he couldn't kick because he had a sore foot. Somebody stepped on or something.
But he could run.
But he could run, and so we had to go for 2 basically, and they just wasn't able to stop it.
Well, you guys put 416 net yards for that game, rushing 68 carries, 372, and according to what I had here, Manis had 25 carries of 201, and Cameron Hovey had 19 for 75. So
right,
a couple good running efforts there.
Right, and we got a third person there also that didn't carry the ball that much, but Nick Burnell, he's awful good running back also. He's got over 200 yards rushing on the year, such there, and he plays the wing, so he doesn't get to touch the ball as much. But I think he's averaging about 8 yards a carry, though, so I guess I need to get the ball to him more.
Well, passing-wise, Drake was 3 for 5 for 44 yards, 2 touchdown passes to Jesse Kolb.
Yes. And actually, the week before, he threw 3 touchdown passes to Kolb. Drake's been hot. He's been on, and hopefully it'll continue for us.
One of the things that I noticed, and if I had an award to give you, I would give you the award because you guys, among all the teams that we've talked to so far this weekend, you win the award for the least number of fumbles. You guys ended up with 3 fumbles but did not lose the ball, and Carroll fumbled once and didn't lose the ball. But that's a pretty amazing statistic based on the conditions you guys were playing in.
Right, I say it like it was a steady rain all evening, and it was I don't know what we just able to hang on to it, and that's like I say we did have a few fumbles, but we were able to recover our own. And like I say, Carroll only fumbled once, so I don't know what it was. Maybe we had glue on our hands or something, but we didn't fumble very much.
Well, you must have had glue on your hands when it came to defense because you held Carroll to a net of 50 yards for the game, and in rushing, they rushed 21 times and had a net loss of -1 on their rushes, and 3 passes out of 14 attempts, 51 yards. That's a pretty good night on the defensive side of the ball.
Right, and we were afraid of that also because going in, their quarterback, he had thrown several completions. I think he was about 60% in completion ratio, and he had about 400, a little under 400 yards passing in 3 games, and so that was a concern of us going in, and we were surprised that we were able to shut him down as well as we did, but we figured that we need to get a good ratio on him, and that's what happened. We were able to put the pressure on, and he was scrambling a lot all night long.
And I know one of the hot buttons for you is penalties. And earlier in the season, you guys are racking up a lot of penalty yardage, but just 1 penalty for 10 yards this week. That's
right.
Good improvement.
We've had a lot of talks about that, too, as far as penalties. The first 2 weeks, we had 217 yards in penalties in the first 2 games. And like one game we had 11 penalties, and the other game we had 9. And so we talked about that. We cut down on the 3rd ball game, and like I say, this ball game we only had 1 for 10. But Carroll only had 2 penalties for 10 yards. So, it was a pretty clean ball game. It was a total of 3 penalties called in the whole ball game.
This week, you're back on the road again, another conference game. You're fourth of four conference, fourth of six of your conference games coming up this week at Clinton Prairie.
Right. Clinton Prairie is a little bit of a surprise. Going into the season, everybody thought that they'd have a really good ball club and such there. They got several kids back, like they got 6 starters back on offense and like 6 starters back on defense. And like last year, they had a pretty good winning record. I'm not sure exactly, but it was a winning record last year. I think they only lost like 4 ball games or so they was like 6-4 or 7-5 or something like that. And so all those kids back, everybody figured it's going to be pretty good, but so far they have not shown that. They got some big kids. They're like 330, 310, 290, 285. So they got some big kids up front, but they just not been getting the production that they should be getting.
That's Coach Bud Wright, head coach of the Sheridan Blackhawks. Coach Wright, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you being here. And stay tuned because the Hamilton County High School Football Coaches Show will continue in just a moment after these words from our sponsors.
Can I help you?
Yeah. I'm looking for Logan Street signs and banners.
You found us.
But this ain't Logan Street. This is South 10th.
We moved 22 years ago.
Well, how come you didn't change the name?
That would have just confused people.
Well, actually, South 10th is Allisonville, if you're from Fishers.
Before that, it was 37A, and before that, it was State Road 37.
So you're telling me that Logan Street signs and banners isn't on Logan Street anymore. It's actually on South 10th. That's Allisonville in Fishers. And before that, it was 37A and 37?
So you got that straight?
Logan Street signs and banners conveniently not located on Logan Street, but rather South 10th Street in Noblesville.
Exactly.
When medical care is needed, where will you turn? With Community's Connect to Care program, one call or click finds you the closest open appointment. Request a time yourself, or let us do it. From a primary care doctor or virtual visit, to a med check or community clinic at Walgreens. Just call or click. You can go right to our website or to me. Connect to Care from Community.
Superheroes come in all shapes and sizes. They don't always meet in an underground fortress. Sometimes they meet in places that appear to be very ordinary to most people. But inside, there are heroes in training. Some are smart, strong, or brave. Maybe they can build cities or heal people when they get hurt. But even superheroes need some help sometimes. With your support, we can change the world. Together, we are a force that can't be defeated. Support the club. Save the world. Support your local superheroes and donate now to the Boys and Girls Club of Noblesville at bgcni.org.
Can I help you?
Yeah, I'd like to order a hamburger, fries, salt, maybe a large vanilla shake.
It's a trophy shop, can't you tell?
You got carry out?
Everything that you need, we have here at the shop. Very unique. You order today, carry out tonight. That's our version of carry out.
All right, I'll take one of everything.
Oh, that may take a little longer. We'll have it for you tomorrow night.
I'll be back tomorrow to pick it up.
We'll be waiting for you.
Welcome back to the Hamilton County High School Football Coaches Show presented by Logan Street Signs and Banners, celebrating 26 years in business. Also brought to you by Greek's Pizza, Noblesville Trophies, Community Health, and the Hamilton County Reporter. We're joined now by Hamilton Southeastern Royals head coach Adam Morris. And Coach Morris, you made it through your first mud sock game. Tell us how that felt.
It is so special. You know, there is
probably from a rivalry standpoint and atmosphere standpoint, it's going to be hard to find a better game in the state of Indiana. The student sections were great despite the rain. The fans were great despite the rain. Just a wet, messy rivalry, classic football game, and we were real happy to come out on top.
Well, the first quarter didn't start out too well for the Royals. They were down by 2 at the end of the first quarter. And then going into the second quarter, it looked like Fishers had a lot of momentum going. And
I thought so, yeah. They had put some good drives together. I think we realized as the elements got worse, we're going to have to change our game plan, right? We want to try and spread people out and throw the football. And once the weather didn't break, we realized that, hey, we're going to have to do some things a little bit different. And our kids responded, and I thought did a great job.
Well, the score at halftime was the Tigers were up by 10-7, and halftime comes around, and then third quarter, you guys made some adjustments, and we saw something out of the Royals that we had not seen before this year. At least I hadn't seen before, the Wildcat.
Yeah, we run some of it, not in the middle of the field. It had been more of a goal line type deal for us. We just thought it gave us the best opportunity to move the football. We're a little banged up. Actually, the 3 guys who come in on that package were the 3 guys who started on the defensive line for us. That played almost the entire football game. Matt Harris did a great job. We were real proud of how he responded. He has the 2 fumbles in the first half. For him to respond the way he did in the second half, we were real proud of him.
Let's talk about that drive in the third quarter that puts you guys up by what turned out to be the final score, 14-10, an 80-yard drive.
Yeah, Matt Harris in that Wildcat package carried the ball like 13, 14 times or something like that on that drive. Busted the longer run towards the beginning that he almost took to the house, or was pretty close to doing. And then we just stayed committed to it. We challenged our guys up front, said, hey, we're going to run the football and do what we have to win this game, and they did a great job. Grant Root, a senior for us, has been playing some really good football. Our offensive lineman of the week was a sophomore named Brandon Gonzalez. Those kids won us the football game.
Fourth quarter, no scoring, but some interesting fourth down calls on both sides of the ball.
Sure. I think we snapped the punt over the punter's head in the first quarter. They bobbled a snap earlier in the game too. I think me and Coach Wimmer, just the elements, punting the football made you nervous. Just the execution of it. So we tried to do some things, get them to jump off sides, and they didn't do it because they're a well-disciplined coach team, and had to send the offense back out in the field and go get it a couple times, and they did. The last fourth down that we had of the game, we jump off sides. It was fourth, and that was probably the shortest fourth down we had of the game. Gave them the chance to get back in the football game with that last drive. Our kids responded, and were able to get off the field.
How about the pass to Ben Boyson?
Heck of a catch, wasn't it? What the thing is, we've seen him do some stuff like that in practice and in games. He had a great catch last week, actually, against Avon, where he's on the ground, ball pops in the air. He's really talented, one of the better players in our program.
Well, I understand that made ESPN.
It did.
And his had quite a few looks.
I heard one of my buddies texted it to me, and I didn't believe him, and then I got a couple more, and then I saw it on Twitter, and sure did. So really cool for the community to see that HSC on SportsCenter.
Well, I was watching that play from the press box, obviously, and, obviously a great play, but a fourth down play also.
Yeah.
And I saw Ben make the catch, and I thought, is he inbounds or is he out of bounds? And I think the whole Southeastern side of the field was just kind of holding their breath, and likewise the Fishers side of the field was sitting there hoping that he was out of bounds. But it was definitely a good catch. And of course, those of you who read the Hamilton County Reporter saw a picture of it in the paper there today. But what a great catch.
Yeah, we've really the strength of our football team. In the spring and in the summer, we felt like was going to be us on the perimeter. Obviously, a big, strong quarterback like Cody, receiver Jackson Lance coming back, Ben, DeAndre Rhodes, Landon Morris, a sophomore, has really came on this year. We really challenge those guys when they're in one-on-one situations to win.
Let's talk a little bit about what we got coming up this week. Big victory on Friday night against Fishers. puts you at 1-1 in the HCC. And, you know, once again, there's nothing you can say about the HCC that hasn't already been said when you're talking about teams the likes of Avon and Brownsburg this year. Westfield is strong this year. Zionsville will be strong. And you still got to go to several of those teams, and you're going to be taking on Westfield this week over at Riverview Health Field.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, we challenged our kids today in practice. We said, everybody's talking about how great of a game and how it was close and exciting. And I said, guys, we're going to have 4 or 5 more of those, you know, before we get to the postseason, let alone the postseason. So every team's going to be good. We're going to have to do a great job as coaches managing the game, and our players are going to have to respond to those close situations.
How about injuries? Everybody healthy, or any problems on the injury front?
We've been a little bit banged up. You know, on Friday we had some young kids playing up front for us defensively. We're going to get, hopefully, one of our guys who plays a little bit of both ways back. We have some defensive linemen that we're still not quite sure we'll get back this week. But I think as the season progresses, we'll get healthier and be full strength come tournament time.
Now, both HSE High School and Fishers High School both got new turf fields this year. Was that how did that help you, or did it hinder you guys because of the rain?
You know, I think more so than the game necessarily is just the practice, right? I mean, obviously when they're redoing it, we had to be on the grass all summer. You know, I think the rain, it's really just the football. It makes that thing slick, makes it heavy to throw, heavy to kick and punt. And no matter how many bags and towels you have, when it's raining like that, that ball's going to be wet.
That's Coach Adam Morris, head coach of the Hamilton Southeastern Royals. Coach Morris, thank you for being here with us tonight. We appreciate it, and good luck against the Westfield Shamrocks coming up this Friday night at Westfield. Perry Williams had a chance to catch up with Hamilton Heights head coach John Kirchner a little bit earlier this afternoon. Let's go to that interview right now.
Well, welcome back. I'm Perry Williams, and this is the Hamilton County Coaches Show again. I've coached John Kirchner, the Hamilton Heights football coach. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Coach, first of all, congratulations on your first victory as a head football coach.
Thank you.
I know you probably don't appreciate it as much right at this moment, but
it's
10, 15 feeling, years, yeah.
It's pretty good feeling.
Yeah, it takes kind of the monkey off your back a little bit on getting a win. Well, let's talk about, because you know you guys played a great ball game against Northwestern. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we I would say in all 3 facets of the game, we saw great improvement. Defensively, their only touchdown came off of one of our turnovers. We fumbled the ball on our own, 16 to 20 yard line, somewhere in there, and it was a quick boom, boom, boom score. Other than that, had we not had the turnover, they wouldn't have sniffed the end zone probably. It was a commanding win from a defensive standpoint. Then from an offensive standpoint, we saw some improvements in the passing game, even with the rain the entire game. We completed several passes. We were efficient with the way we threw. We took what we could get versus really forcing things to happen, and that paid dividends for us. We got some things going in the run game, you know, and we had to in that kind of weather, you know, with the rain. So, and the special teams, we did some really good things. I was really pleased with our young kicker, our freshman. He kicked his first field goal of his high school career, and he's pretty good at, you know, kickoff. And our cover guys did pretty well Friday night. So I was very pleased with the overall effort and improvement that came along with we're still a young team.
Absolutely. You know, and that's the one thing that sometimes as a fan, people don't realize how important the kicking and punting game is in special teams, because, you know, if you can get kickoffs deep, you know, or in the end zone where they're not going to run it back out, they bring it back out to the 20, or you cover real well and get them deep inside that 20. And then, of course, if a punter can get that ball inside the 20 for you too, that's a great thing too. So those are huge. Hey, Coach, I had to ask you when I got here because the stats that you had on Friday night was really outstanding considering all the weather and the rain and all that, because you threw the ball really well, completed Capacity completed 61% of his passes. He was 8 for 13 for 177 yards. That's a good game. And of course, your running game was really good, and especially with the average per carry. I mean, Sean King had 106 yards, 5.6 per carry, and Cowan had 42 yards for 4.7 per carry. So those are huge numbers for you.
Right. No, those were really good, and it was a sign of growth for our young kids and younger kids. And obviously we have seniors playing, but I think what we did in practice last week, just really focusing on ourselves and getting better at the basics, paid off for us for tonight.
Good. And in the receiving corps, Defoe had a great night. 4 catches, 100 yards for 25 yards per catch. That you take that any week, right?
Yes, we would.
Well, you got another tough opponent coming up this week. You got Western coming here, which the game, we will broadcast that game on hctv1.com, and actually for 3A a school, the numbers that we've had on our broadcasts and of course the crowds that you've been having to the game, I think people are still very, very excited about Husky football.
Yeah, I would say so too. Yeah, Western's a good school, good opponent. It'll be a tough challenge for us.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Western. What some of the things you might expect, and some of the things that you want to do maybe a little bit better this week than you did last.
Western on offense is going to be a single wing team. They're going to try and get as many people to the point of attack as possible, and they're going to pull guards, they're going to pull wings, they're going to pull tight ends. You name it, they're going to get as many people to the party. It's going to be in between it. Everything's in between the tackles, and it's going to be tight, foot to foot with the offensive line, and they're going to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball. That's who they are, and they're pretty good at it. They're physical. They've worked hard in the offseason. I know their coach fairly well, and I know he's got them in the weight room. Defensively, we're probably going to get a 4-man front. Their defensive ends might be standing up, so it might look a little bit different than a traditional 4-down line, that kind of thing. But we're going to get a 4-man front in some capacity. We might get a little 3-4 look, but they're same kids. They're pretty good. We're going to have to fire out and get low and get underneath them and drive our pads, drive them back. Focus on holding on to the ball. We still fumbled the ball twice Friday night, and then we had another one get away from us. So we've got to make sure, again, that we're eliminating the turnovers. That's one of the biggest things we've got to come away with. And then the basic stuff, like every coach would say.
Yeah, because all the coaches that I interview, that they're always talking about, you got to win that turnover ratio. If you don't win that turnover ratio, you're in big trouble every week. Defense played pretty well. They'll have to play well again this week because actually the schedule doesn't get much easier, does it? I mean, it continues to be tough every week.
Right. Twin Lakes is a solid program. I mean, Lewis Cass, they're Lewis Cass. I mean, they're going to hit you as hard as they can. Well, that in and of itself is a challenge. And Tipton's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, and obviously we don't know last week yet with the crossover game at the very end of the season, so we don't know where we'll stand with that yet.
How do you like that that crossover game like that, or does it really matter? I mean, you just got to compare prepare for whoever you play, right? And it's kind of interesting because you don't really know, and it's really kind of exciting. Any other players that you thought played very, very well in your game against Northwestern this week that you want to mention that we probably haven't mentioned, especially on defense?
I mean, really, Luke Herr, he had 2 sacks. Brady Hill played lights out for us, and it had been a while since he played because he'd been injured for really, he hasn't played in a game since Anderson scrimmage, and him coming back was kind of a breath of fresh air. You know, Cray Leininger had 2 pass breakups and an interception. Alex Roth did a really good job, and we just, the reason I'm naming all those kids off is as a defense, we decided, because we thought our defense, there were so many kids who played so well, we decided to make the player of the game defensively the entire first defense. You know, if that tells you anything.
Yeah, I mean, and well, you know, with the score and basically how you told us at the first, you know, they really didn't threaten much at all the whole night. I mean, you know, I mean, the weather definitely was a factor, but I mean, it's the same for both teams. So you know, the one thing about it is with this week's game against Western, the weather may be about the same with them talking about the hurricane out on the East Coast here coming in about Wednesday or so, that, you know, maybe seeing some rain again like we did this past. Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah.
That's news to me.
Yeah, so
the original was supposed to be like 80 and sunny.
Yeah, but that hurricane, I think, is supposed to hit Wednesday, and
you think it might roll to us?
It could be. It's on that line probably, because it's right along that East Coast. So it'll be North Carolina, South Carolina area. So it's kind of a straight shot. So we'll see. I mean, you know, you can't predict those right now because you're still a couple of days away, and it's out in the Atlantic Ocean. But we could see some of the same things. But you know, the one thing about that type of weather, when that situation, both teams have. I mean, no one has an advantage coming weather-wise. So you know, it looks like you guys maybe your game coach is playing in that weather there out there. Like you played this week against Northwestern.
This time it'd be mud though. Our field would be.
Yeah.
If it were to do that, this rain, it'd have been a mud bowl.
Yeah.
Our field had been ruined.
Yeah.
For the year.
Now, is that artificial turf up there at Northwestern?
Yeah. So it made it nice. Everybody was just wet, not anything else.
That makes it a little bit better, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking time out to visit with us, and. The HCTV group will be up here on Friday night to broadcast the game, and I know, as always, there's going to be a huge crowd to root on the Huskies. So I wish you the best of luck, Coach.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, welcome back. I'm Perry Williams, and this is the Hamilton County Coaches Show again. I've coached John Kirshner, the Hamilton Knights football coach. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Coach, first of all, congratulations on your first victory as a head football coach.
Thank you.
I know you probably don't appreciate it as much right at this moment, but
it's
10, 15 years,
It's pretty good feeling.
Yeah, it takes kind of the monkey off your back a little bit on getting a win. Well, let's talk about, because you know, you guys played a great ball game against Northwestern. Let's talk a little bit about that.
We I would say in all 3 facets of the game, we saw.
Well, welcome. I'm Perry Williams, and this is the Hamilton County Coaches Show. With me today is Jake Gilbert, the coach of the Westfield Shamrocks. Welcome, Coach.
Hi, everybody.
Great to have the opportunity to talk to you again. Tough loss on Friday with Noblesville. The score, Noblesville 10, Westfield 2. You know, a couple things stand out in my mind always is, you know, you've talked many times about how important it is to get a good start in a football game in the first half and in the second half and finish the game up. So, you know, let's talk a little bit about the game. You know, there wasn't much scoring and there wasn't much offense on either side of the football, but turnovers played a big part in that game.
Yeah, when you're -4, you're never going to win. We here, if we're -1, we rarely win. If we're +1, we almost always win. But being -4, you know, generally you get blown out of a game. You know, that's kind of the story right there, being -4 and the giveaway takeaway.
Yeah, and you know, really, the Zinnick touchdown in that I guess it was the first quarter there. I mean, that touchdown run, which it looked like he was almost stopped at he hit the hole, and it sounds like he spun off a little bit from the video we saw up in the booth, but then he was gone to the races, and that was the only touchdown of the ball game.
Yeah, just kind of a fluke play. I mean, we thought we had him stuffed, and we had a guy who had him wrapped up, and he just let him out of his grips. And I think it took so long that the depth in our defense got to the pile and couldn't find him in the pile. And then he squirted out of the pile, and we weren't going to catch him once we figured out what was going on. So pretty rare type of play. But that turned out to be enough offense. On the night, I think we gave up 2 plays over 5 yards in the whole game. That was one of them.
Yes.
So realistically, you typically win if defensively if you're playing that stout. But they also were equally as good defensively, and so we couldn't score, and even though we only gave up the 1 play there.
And a lot. It looked a lot. Of course, the weather definitely was a factor, but it's the same on both sides of the football on both teams. But it just happens that way sometimes, because I know I think in 3 different times I can think of in a game, you guys had a pretty good drive going. Westfield had a pretty good drive going, and then a fumble or an interception kind of just stopped you right there.
Sure. Well, against good defense, I mean, it's going to be hard to drive the entire field. I thought they definitely won the field position game. I felt like their punter was magnificent, first of all. He did an extraordinary job. But then secondly, we gave the ball to them a couple times in great field position off of a takeaway, and our defense did an outstanding job and stopped them. One time completely, one time they got a field goal. But on a short drive, they managed to get 3 points out of it. Well, in this game, 3 points was huge. And so, they never did that. They just kept running the ball, get a 3 and out, and punt it. But that proved to give up 0 points because they were playing defense so well, whereas our turnovers led to 3. And again, I know that's not many points, but in those conditions against these defenses, that was enough, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, both Westfield and Noblesville take pride on their defense, okay? And it showed in that game. And, of course, the weather was not the greatest in the world, but it is what it is. So you have to move on. I mean, it doesn't get any easier because you're playing Hamilton Southeastern this week, and they got a big victory against the Fishers Tigers, and there wasn't much offense in that game either.
Sure.
So the weather played a part, I'm sure, just like it did in the Westfield Noblesville game. But Southeastern made a couple of good goal line stands. In fact, one of them was late in the game was on maybe 1 yard line, and they stopped them.
Well, hey, those guys are always good. They've got tons of talent over there, we feel like. New coach, just like Noblesville, so kind of figuring things out. We trying to figure things out against that opponent. Some of the other opponents, you've seen each other so many years, you kind of get comfortable knowing what they're going to do and how they're going to attack you. But with the new coach, you have no idea what to expect, really. So we'll see how it goes. We got to get up and practice hard and get better and come out with a little more grit and desire and see what we can get done on Friday.
There's nothing really you can ever do about the weather, okay? But you may have chances that this Friday may be the same results, because with a hurricane coming on the East Coast, we may be seeing rain come Friday night. You just have to play the game the way it's.
There's no excuses like that in that game. Noblesville played in the rain too, so
sure.
Didn't bother them too bad. Maybe we just have to play the game different, but we still have to win. So there's no excuse. I think the team that loses, it's always easy to say, oh, well, if it would have been dry. But, you know, the years we've won state, we've won bad weather games. And we've beat other teams over the years in bad weather games. So we lost. I mean, kudos to Noblesville. But if it rains Friday, we're going to have the same expectations whether it does or it doesn't.
Yeah, you want to win the game,
Yeah.
and that's what you're expected to do. You're going to be playing at home, okay? You'll be back at home playing here. Both teams are 2-2 coming in the game. Southeastern started off with a victory at Lawrence Central and then lost to North Central and Avon, which look like are going to be pretty good football teams after 4 weeks into the season here. They're playing some pretty good football. Of course, Avon lost to a very good Brownsburg team also, but then they came back and won, which is, like probably bigger in our Midland Trophy rivalry. That Mudsock rivalry down there at Fisher Southeastern is maybe one of the tops in the state because they're so close together. I mean, they can. So
huge win for them. It's a good football team.
Yeah.
And they've played a tough schedule. I mean, I think they should feel decent about where their football team is. I think that the win over Fishers was huge, obviously. So,
Coach, probably staying with the same game plan of what you do as far as each week on preparing for the season. You take a look at what happened this past week and you put your plans together.
Yeah, you don't want to overreact. I mean, so 2 weeks ago we scored almost 50 points and had almost 500 yards of offense. And then this past week we got shut out. Usually you don't have drastic swings like that. I mean, but no matter what your results are, you don't want to overreact too much either way. 2 weeks ago it seemed like we could do no wrong on offense. You don't want to take all the praise too serious on a week like that. But then this week, even though we stunk on offense, you don't want to burn everything down either. I mean, I think you got to go back to the drawing board, of course, and we got to get our players in the best positions, of course, and we have to execute some things that we do just better with more toughness and physicality and a little more want to. And but above all, we just have to take care of the football.
Yeah. Defensively, you felt pretty good about the way you played defensively.
Yeah,
you
gave up 2.5 yards a carry to a team that really wants to run the ball and works at it pretty hard. They had 5 total yards passing. Like I said, we only gave up 2 plays that went for over 5 yards, I think. So it was a pretty good defensive performance. We got to get some takeaways, right? Yeah. So that was the part we didn't get, obviously. And then just giving up the big play. In each game, we've given up one long one, and we got to get on top of that. But like for 95% of the game, I thought our defense stood in there with some toughness and played pretty well and tackled pretty well and got off blocks. And those aren't easy schemes to play against because you got to do it over and over and over all night. And I thought our kids were up to the challenge. We just needed just a little more from everybody.
Coach, one comment you made a while ago, Noblesville has a new coach and Southeastern has a new coach with, the way this is structured in the Hoosier Crossroad Conference. 2 new coaches, then we're bringing in Franklin Central, so there's another new coach. It's a little bit different preparing this year than in past years because you usually knew what Scott May was going to do down pretty much Southeastern. Jason, even though was only a head coach a short time, he was offensive coordinator for Noblesville for some time, so you kind of knew what to expect. A little bit different this year.
Yeah, and one of our non-conference changed as well, the Decatur game. So 4. That's 4 out of 9 that were totally different. So almost half. So. But that's we're new to them too, I guess. You could say.
That's true too.
That's part of it. But so far we're 2-0 against the teams we played before, and 0-2 against the coaches that are new. So we got to do a little bit better job.
Yeah, you're hoping this
getting out coached by
that trend is going to change a little bit this week, right? Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking time and talking to us. about the game and wish you the best of luck going to. They're here at Hamilton Southeastern this week. As I told you earlier, we will not be broadcasting that game, but the IHSAA.org. TV.org will be broadcasting your game, and that will be on HamiltonCountyTV.com. So that game will still be able to be seen on our stations, and they'll have their broadcast team here. So
we'll spread the word.
That's good. I appreciate that. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thanks
I appreciate you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Welcome back to tonight's broadcast of the Hamilton County High School Football Coaches Show on HCTV Sports, presented by Logan Street Signs and Banners, celebrating 26 years in business. Before we wrap things up for tonight, we'd like to remind you about some great sporting events that are coming up here on Hamilton County Television. Tomorrow night, we will be over at the Mill for the girls volleyball match between Hamilton Heights and Noblesville. We'll get a night off Wednesday, but then Thursday we'll be right back over at White River Elementary School as the Cathedral Irish come in to face the Noblesville Millers in a boys soccer match. And then coming up Friday night, it's back to high school football as Western will be visiting Hamilton Heights. And also, don't forget, coming up on Friday night, it's the HCTV Sports Game Day. Up to 4 different broadcasts that you can watch on HCTV Game Day. We'd like to thank you for watching tonight's broadcast of the Hamilton County High School Football Coaches Show, brought to you by Logan Street Signs and Banners, celebrating 26 years in business. We'd also like to thank our other great sponsors, Greek's Pizza. Dine in or take it out. Give them a call, 317-773-4444. Also, Noblesville Trophies, Community Health, and the Hamilton County Reporter at www.readthereporter.com. On behalf of Perry Williams and Jim Wofford, I'm Brad Silver. Good night.